All right, everybody, welcome into the Auburn Live Basketball Show. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Real quick, if you're not a member of auburnlive.com, go subscribe. I think it's like $30, gets you access till next football season, which is kind of ridiculous. So go take advantage of that, and then pop over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit the notification button. Make sure that you're keeping up with everything we're putting out on YouTube and auburnlive.com. All right, let's chat with let's talk some basketball. With us is assistant coach Stephen Pearl, ahead of Auburn and Alabama. Big one this weekend, man. Stephen, first, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Just trying to find ways to get better, man. But we're good over here. How you doing?
Good, hanging in there, man. I was going to ask, like, at this point in the season, Bruce talked about the grind a couple of days ago. I mean, and especially with the schedule that you have and how backloaded it is, I guess just kind of where's the coaching staff at? Where's the team at in terms of just kind of your mentality, your mental state in the middle of a very tough grind right now?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what your record is or where you're at, like everyone right now is just trying to find ways to just get through it and try and find ways to continue to get better, right? You could be 10-0 in the SEC like we were last year, or 7-4 like we are right now, and you still have the same mentality, man. It's a grind, and you got to find ways to continue to keep your guys locked in and find different goals to obtain throughout the year, whether it's winning an SEC championship or finishing top 4 in the league, so you get the double bye, just trying to find ways to keep your guys motivated and trying to find ways to improve. I think I think right now for this team, the good news is you look at our last, let's call it 4 games, since the West Virginia game was, how many games ago was that? 4. Yeah. So you look at our last 4 games, you look at the second half of West Virginia, we're down 16 at halftime. We come back, play really well the second half. We really have a chance to win that game on multiple occasions in the second half. And, Wendell has a layup that rims out. Jalen has a layup that rims out. Stevenson makes some really tough shots. That West Virginia team has won I want to say 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 8. They beat Iowa State last night. They beat the Oklahoma team that beat Vanderbilt by 30. They beat them by 30. So West Virginia is a really good team. They've played the 4th hardest schedule in the country. All their Big 12 games they've lost have all been by single digits. So they're a team that, while their record shows they're 4-7 in league play, they could be 8-3 just as easily, right? So lose to a good team, probably. We felt like we should have won the game. Then you come home and you play Georgia. We have our best offensive efficiency game in 20-something years at home. So we played great at home. So, feel really good about that. Played great defensively in the first half. Second half, we let our foot off the pedal. But offensively, we were really good and played really well. Go to Tennessee, who's the number 2 team in the country, hold them to 46 points on their home floor, where their average margin of victory at home in conference play has been 20 points. Then you go out of conference, it probably is 30. So, felt like we should have won that game too. We only scored 43 points. Obviously, they're the number 1 defense in the country for a reason. But, we had, Chris Moore had a 3 rim out that was practically halfway in. Jalen had 1 rim out. Wendell had 1 rim out. We had a few bunnies that rimmed out, just a couple that didn't go our way. We missed some really big free throws down the stretch that we normally make. And then obviously at the end of the game, we had an opportunity to get to the foul line. It just didn't work out for us. So felt like we could have gotten that one, and we didn't. And then we go to Texas A&M, who's probably playing as well as anyone in our league right now. And I thought we played really well down there, and it took 25 additional free throws for them to close us out. We got to do a better job of guarding without fouling. We got to do a better job of taking it into contact and getting fouled ourselves, because we shot 42-point baskets in that game. So you would think that we'd get to the line more than 14 times. It's not like we were just jacking up threes, is what I'm saying. We were being aggressive, attacking the paint, and we just didn't get to the foul line. So, what I'm trying to say is, while we're 1-3 in our last 4, I think we're playing well right now. I really do. Fans may not want to hear that, and they may not be excited about that, but I think we're playing pretty good basketball right now. So that's something that we need to encourage our guys to keep pushing for. The bad news is, I think the number 1 team in the country is coming to Auburn on Saturday. Alabama is probably the best team in the country from top to bottom, offensively and defensively. So, just biggest thing is just got to continue to find ways to not beat ourselves. I think in all those games, while we've had a few things stacked against us, we still controlled our own destiny in all those games. And, whether it be a few defensive breakdowns here and there, or just making bad decisions, we as a team, may have shot ourselves in the foot a few times. So the biggest thing we got to do is we got to learn from those mistakes and find ways to execute down the stretch and close games out so we can get these, these opportunities. But like I said, we have, I think, you look at Vandy last night. Vandy beats Tennessee at home, so that game now is a quad 2, right? So we have, is it 4 quad 1s and 2 quad 2s and a quad 3 left. So tons of opportunities in the schedule to obviously build the resume and continue to get better. But we got to start taking advantage of a few of them late in the games and finish them out.
Yeah, and we'll see how the some of these other opponents like Northwestern and Florida are a couple teams you've beaten that are on the edge. I mean, Northwestern's almost a quad 1. Yeah. Florida could get there. We'll see. And so you even look back at some of those wins, even a couple of those losses, Memphis, Southern Cal. Those are right teetering on quad 1 wins, or right there at the high level quad 2 wins. Like, so you don't have, Auburn doesn't have a bad loss. Your one bad loss maybe at Georgia, but then you avenge it. You win by 21. So one of the things I was impressed with was against A&M was I thought, and I think it speaks to, you're talking about playing good basketball and what Bruce talked about, guys still being bought in. I mean, look, A&M's a team that's now had your number a couple of times, and the last 2 were big halftime deficits. Like A&M seemed to have just a mental toughness in those 2 games. I was really impressed with how the team bounced back, and I thought took the fight to Texas A&M, a team that's physical and kind of thrives on that sort of dog mentality. I was really impressed with how your team matched that and took the fight to them. I mean, you led for over 22 minutes of that basketball game, and things didn't go your way in the end. But I thought that the mindset of the team, and really go back to Tennessee too, that's 2 games where you're on the road in a tough environment, and you're absolutely taking the fight to the team and being right there. So I think that does speak to guys still being bought in and being locked in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really ever going to be an issue with this group, because they obviously want to win games and they want to continue to make history and do things that we talk about. A&M, obviously the loss at home to them was a bad loss. We didn't play well. They played great in the first half, and they're a tough team to play because they fly around. They fly around defensively. They make plays. They get to the foul line. And I thought our guys did a great job responding to that. In the first half, obviously we get up by 12 points. With how the game was going, that was a questionable technical foul in my opinion, considering that they were jabbering at our bench the entire time too, and it was just it was a high level basketball game. And then the technical foul kind of changed momentum a little bit, and they got back into it. But they get up 1 at halftime, and our guys come out in the beginning of the second half and get back up 9. So then foul trouble kind of sinks in, and then our guys aren't able to play as aggressively as they normally do, which is human nature. And then they're able to get to the foul line and obviously convert. And obviously it just kind of took its toll on us, and we weren't able to get stops late in that game. But our guys are bought in. That they want to continue to obviously win games, see ourselves in the upper half of of the SEC. Try and play for some NCAA tournament seeding, play for SEC tournament seeding. Still a lot to play for. We just can't get discouraged by losing a couple close ones. Just got to learn from it, build on it, and try and take advantage of the next couple.
Yeah, I was going to say, kind of what's your message, I guess, to the team after you go through this tough stretch where you are playing good basketball, and they are pretty resilient. I mean, seeing them from time to time, that young kids, they love playing basketball, and they seem to get over it pretty quickly. But what's your message to them going into Alabama? Because what an opportunity with maybe the best team in the country coming in here. Game day, going to be a sold out Neville Arena. Probably don't have to say much to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, kids definitely have a short memory. We're up here all miserable because we've lost a couple of games. The coaching staff just trying to figure out ways to get better, and they're down there like nothing's happening, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, they're upset. They want to win too, but they're able to move on to the next game pretty quickly, which is obviously I think a good thing, because it allows them not to harp on it, and they're allowed to just it's clean slate. Next game, let's find a way to win this one. So they're going to be excited about the game. It's Alabama. It's a rivalry. We swept them last year, so we know that they're going to come in wanting some revenge. they're going to try and take it to us, and our guys understand that. But our guys get excited about this game every single year because obviously it is a big rivalry, and it means a little bit more to our fans. Obviously, Gameday being here for the third straight year. The only other program in the country to do that is Duke. So Auburn and Duke are an elite company. So it shows you how far this program's come and where we're at, nationally, and how important I think that is to our fans, which is awesome. And it's a tribute to them and the environment that we've created in Neville Arena. So this one's not going to be very hard to get our guys excited about. They're going to be fired up. They understand what's at stake here. They understand how important this game is. One, for us as a team, but two, to our fan base. So it's going to be an incredible environment. Obviously a great cause with Outlive, raising money for cancer. Got to encourage everyone to get their shirts before the game. But just all around, just an unbelievable atmosphere, environment, and cause for the weekend. So it should be a good one.
What makes Alabama so tough? There's probably a lot of things. But what's maybe the top one or two things that when you're looking at this matchup make them? I mean, look at the SEC; they're running roughshod over a lot of teams in the SEC. Big margins of victory. They've had some close games, obviously, and had that really odd loss at Oklahoma State where they got blown out. But more times than not, they're big margin of victories against teams in the league, which you don't always see. What is attributing to that?
I mean, they're just really good offensively and defensively. Their numbers say that they're better defensively than they are offensively. So that right there is a huge reason as to why they've been so successful, is because their defense has allowed them to get stops. They play at the number one pace in the country. So they're getting stops and block shots and having teams turn the ball over, and they're getting out in transition and making plays. They obviously have some really dynamic players. Brandon Miller is like, Jabari Smith for us last year. Just does a lot of different things. He can stretch the floor, shoot the crap out of the ball. And then they surround him by other guards that can shoot the three as well. On top of that, they shoot a good percentage from three, but they do an unbelievable job of getting second chances off their long rebounds from their three balls. So they do a great job of getting offensive rebounds and getting second chance opportunities, which they're able to convert on at that point. So, just they have a really good team. Really, really, really talented young freshmen. Clowney's a really good player. Quinterly does a great job of setting their offense up. Sears is a really good offensive player. But they do a little bit of everything. So I think Oklahoma, the biggest thing Oklahoma did was they kind of just punked them. And I think Alabama obviously got that message, and then they went into the Florida game last night with a chip on their shoulder, and they were up 30 at halftime. So not a lot of weaknesses with that group. They're really good. We understand that they're really good. We just got to do what we do defensively, guarding them, trying to make them shoot contested jump shots and rebound the ball. And then obviously execute on the offensive end. Playing it at home obviously is an advantage for us because, having our home court, having our home, fans behind us is huge. But understand that, analytically, this is probably the best team in the country right now. And, we got to go into it with that mindset.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, I think the styles of play, the intensity. I mean, Alabama hasn't won at a sold-out Neville since 2015. They won in the COVID year, but obviously, what makes Neville special is the environment. And when you cut the crowd in half and take students away, it's just not the same place. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to come in, obviously, and you're wanting that win. I think it's going to be everything sets up to be a fantastic basketball game. And how do you approach, a game like this where it's the number 3 team in the country, it's maybe the best team in the country. You're trying to search for those marquee wins, those quad one wins. Basketball, there's a lot of opportunities, and you're going to have more after this. You have Tennessee, you're going to have Kentucky. Are there must wins? I mean, in terms of where you're at, I hate that term, but because I think it puts pressure on the kids probably, and you don't know what the future holds, but how close maybe is this to being, man, we got to defend home court?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's at the level of a must win, but that's tough because your must wins are the ones you can't afford to lose. So you gotta win. You got to beat Missouri, you got to beat Vanderbilt, you got to beat. Those are probably must wins more than anything. Ole Miss, right? And then the other ones are just great opportunities to try and get quad one wins. So obviously, this being a rivalry game, obviously it teeters on the must win line for our fans and for us and for our program, because, obviously we don't want Alabama coming in here and winning, just like they didn't want us coming in there last year and winning. So, really important. Just another great opportunity, though, for us to, build the resume, continue to obviously compete at the highest level. But the biggest thing we got to do is, we don't want to put pressure on our guys. We're just trying to get better every single day. And if we continue to do that, it's going to happen. Like we're going to get a big win. It's going to help get us into the tournament. We just got to keep plugging away, keep doing what we're doing, because, I think we're playing pretty good basketball right now.
Yeah. I was on a radio show yesterday and just kind of talking about the team. And I think it's kind of interesting where you're at. Cause I mean, on one hand, you're obviously trying to win the games in front of you. You're trying to win as many in the regular season as you can, good seeding in the SEC tournament, but you're also looking ahead to the NCAA tournament and how do we play good basketball in March? How are we where we need to be in March versus the beginning of February or a week into February? How do you kind of balance those two things as a staff in terms of, wanting to be as good as you can be now, but also having the perspective of, but we also want to be at a certain place in March so that SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, we're ready to deal with those matchups that come. Because I do think this Auburn team, it's about matchups. I mean, you get the right matchup, I think this team can compete with anybody. They've shown that. So how do you sort of balance the perspective of trying to win now, but also trying to be at a certain place 3 weeks from now?
Yeah, I mean, we can't really pick and choose when we're like playing our best basketball. Our formula is going to be the same every single year. We do the same things, that we did in the Final Four year that we did last year. It's just our guys, were playing better in January than they were in February, and then they were in March. The Final Four year, we were like, I want to say like 17-9 or something going into the last 4 games of the regular season. So the biggest thing for us is just trying to keep our guys, locked in, keep them fresh. We're not killing them in practice right now because we need our guys to have fresh legs in February and March to be able to play their best basketball late in the season. But like you said, it really is all about matchups. Like Texas A&M in the first round of the SEC tournament was a bad matchup for us because they had a bunch of really good quick guards that made plays. Miami was a really bad matchup for us because they had some really good quick guards. Like we would have much rather played Florida and much rather played USC in those 2 games because those were better matchups. So in March, it all comes down to matchups, which is obviously really important. But our formula stays the same. We're going to do the same thing throughout the year. But I think our guys are showing some positive signs of playing, of starting to play their best basketball. Even though we were 7-2 the first 9 games, 7-1 really going into, I guess 7-2. I think we're playing, better because we were playing better competition. Like we played some decent teams early, but it wasn't the toughest schedule. So we were able to get away with some mistakes and things that we're not getting away with now. But I think we're playing better as a unit right now. So if we continue to do that, I think it'll continue to get better, leading into March.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Well, let's. I think it's gonna be a great atmosphere Saturday. Let's end on this because I think it's important. And this happens on our. Obviously we're in a message board community at Auburn Live, and so it's who knows what kind of opinions and kind of takes that you get. And you mentioned earlier about, hey, this team was, Auburn was 10-0 last year. You're still the defending regular season champs until you're not. Like, so just last year you win the regular season, 7-4 this year, a few bumps. Recruiting's going well. Now you can't talk about that, but it is. Anybody specifically in general, what's kind of your message to, I guess, the fan base and the Auburn basketball fans that, let's be real. Auburn basketball is still very much new to this type of success. I mean, you're talking about a 6-year span. That's not a very long time. So a lot of these basketball fans that we interact with on our message boards are still new to the success and what it takes to sustain it and what good basketball is. And hey, basketball is really hard sometimes, and winning on the road's hard sometimes. And so I think they're kind of spoiled. You look at by last year or the Final Four year, like you should just go 14-2 or whatever, 14-4. What's kind of your message when they're watching these games and you lose a few games or compared to last year, and just fans, I think, trying to get their head around what it takes to be good every year in basketball and kind of what they're watching this year and trying to put it all into perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing because obviously having expectations means you've done something right. Right. And obviously the previous 6 years have given our fans the expectation that we should be expecting this every single year, which is understandable. And, we're okay with that. But the biggest thing is, like, as hard as it is to get there, it's twice as hard, maybe way more than that, to stay there. Look at Kentucky right now, right? Over the last 4 years, like, John Calipari is one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history, and he's having a hard time doing it at one of the greatest jobs, one of the greatest programs in all of college basketball. So that just shows you it's really difficult, especially in a league where, you look at the coaches that we're bringing in. You look at Rick Barnes, you look at Musselman, you look at Calipari, Todd Golden out at Florida. You look at some of these really, really good Nate Oates at Alabama. Like, we're bringing in really high caliber, coaches, and we're investing a lot of money into these programs because we want to be the best conference in the country in basketball. And we're getting in that direction. So understand that, it's really getting more difficult to do it in our league. So the fact that we've won 3 SEC championships in the last 5 years, speaks volumes. But understand that we lost 2 unicorns last year with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler. Sharif Cooper was probably supposed to be the point guard last year. You lose Isaac and Shuma and JT. Like, we're bringing in a lot of players, and we're having so much success that they're getting to go to the NBA. So we're having to re-recruit guys at all those positions. So it's not going to be seamless every single year. But yet and still, this team's 17-7, 7-4. We've lost some really close games. I think, we look at our four of our road losses are all by like less than 4 or 5 points. So, like, we're right there in those games when we've had opportunities to win them. So, the loss at Georgia was really disappointing. And obviously our guys really took that hard, but understand that it's a process. Understand that, every year you're not going to go to the Final Four, but understand that this coaching staff and this team, that's our goal. And that's our objective, is to win championships and to, obviously continue to make history here at Auburn. So, while we understand that you're frustrated, understand that we're 10 times more frustrated than you are. And we hear you guys on with the DMs you send us on Instagram and the emails you send us and all of your coaching suggestions. I would love for you to all come in and watch film with me one day so I can explain to you why we do the things that we do, because I promise you it would make way more sense then. But understand that, like, we're not in this position without the fans, and we're not in this position without the people on the message boards and everyone that's been to our games. Like, this isn't possible without all of them. So while we understand your frustration, understand that we're working, day and night, endless hours to try and continue to obviously put Auburn basketball in position for you to be proud of the product that we have on the floor and proud of the results that we have, year in and year out.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think you mentioned it. Four quad one losses by a total of 14 points. So I think 4 of the 5. So it's real close losses. I think this team is on the verge. Saturday could be a great opportunity for this team to get over the hump and land a massive win. I think everybody will be there. We'll all be watching game day. Can't get a bigger scene than Auburn, Alabama on Saturday, 1:00, I think, on ESPN. Game day at 10, I believe. So students will be there, and they can't leave. So when those teams are rolling in there, first time walking in, there's going to be a full student section 90 minutes beforehand. So it'll be a really, really cool day, I think, for Auburn basketball. Man, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you giving us the time and getting everybody ready for the big game on Saturday.
Of course, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen Pearl, appreciate him joining us. AuburnLive.com. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. The Auburn Live Basketball Show will be back. Make sure you're in Neville Arena or in Auburn, around that arena on Saturday. It's going to be great. Until then, we'll see you next time.